Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Barbara Carney, Realtor, and I am here with Jennifer Ferguson of the Credit Law Center. Hi Jennifer, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you, Barbara?
Good, good. So Jennifer is going to help us today with some education, and I am so excited she's here because this is one of the main things I tend to hear about from people needing help on. So I have got an awesome resource for you guys. Jennifer has done real estate. She did real estate for 5 years. She also did mortgage lending for 15 years, 16 years actually. And then she has been a credit advisor for 5 years. So we have major knowledge here. I'm so excited. So I'm going to turn this over to Jennifer and let you just educate us, and we'll have some questions for you, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, that sounds
All right.
great. Well,
Cool.
thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it. And I'm always happy and excited when I get to educate consumers, because the credit industry is one that the typical consumer does not understand, because the way it works in a lot of ways is backwards of how we think it should work. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad and excited to be here and help you kind of muddle through the ins and outs of the credit world. So the thing I was going to mostly tell you about today is the 5 pieces of your credit score. So a lot of people ask me, like, what makes up my credit score? How do I know, what's on my credit score? So you're going to have 10% of your credit score is new credit. So if you've opened a new Kohl's card or Target card or something like that. Oh, thank you for sharing the template so they can see what I'm talking about. So and write it down and take notes, because you'll want to keep this. So then the types of credit used is worth another 10%. And what that means is they like you to have, at the credit bureaus, they like to see some revolving, which would be like a credit card. As you use it, it's available again as you pay it down. So it just revolves. And then they like you to have some installment, which is like a car loan. Now, it doesn't mean you have to run out and buy a car, but loans that have a set amount that you borrow, you make a certain monthly payment, and then you pay it off in a certain amount of time. So if you get a 36-month loan, for instance, and you pay $200 a month until it's paid off, then it's closed and it's not available again. So that's called an installment loan. So they like to see some installment and some revolving, and that's worth 10% of your score. So if all you had was one or the other, then you're missing a big piece of the pie. Another thing is the payment history. The payment history is worth 35% of your score. So that's why when people see that they had one late payment and their score dropped 90 points, it's because that is the blue in that pie. That's the biggest piece. So having one single late payment will really tank your score. And then the next biggest piece is the amount owed. So the amount owed is worth 30%. So if you have a credit card that has a $200 credit limit, you don't want to max that out. You want to not go over 30%. So $60 on that card, because that's worth a lot of your score. They want to see that you are able to have credit available without using every penny of it. So being responsible with that's important as well. And then the length of credit history is worth 15%. So what that's talking about is how long have those loans been open? Have you had credit for the last 10 years or the last 10 months? It's going to make a big difference. So time is your friend. So if you don't have any credit started yet, it's important to get it started so you can start building that length of credit. And then we already talked about the new credit being worth 10%. So that's your whole pie. So those are the essential parts of your credit score those are the things you want to pay attention to. And then I understand you had some questions for me.
Yes. So we took an opportunity before the video to kind of talk to some people and find out what questions they had. So first of all, do you have any idea, and I'm just kind of curious, why credit started? Like, where did it come from?
That's a great question. And if you Google search it, you get all kinds of answers, but mostly they all trend along the same, and you can actually find the history. But FICO actually started, the industry started because somebody had the idea that they could sell a credit rating to banks. And then banks could make a lower risk loan based off that credit rating. So even before there were, really computers and algorithms and all this going on as a day-to-day in the home usage, because I believe it was in the 60s when this was created. But somebody just had the idea that this is a product I could sell. I could start gathering people's information, creating a credit rating, and I could sell this product to banks, and banks would want to buy it because of course they would want to know if they're, making good loans or not. Are these people credit worthy? So that's how it started. Now, since then, there's been lots of corporations, but since then, I apologize. Did I lose you for a second?
Yep, just a second. You're
Okay.
good.
That's all right. So other companies have tried to mimic this. You've heard of Fair Isaac, which is FICO. Vantage is one. Experian has their Experian Boost. There's different models, okay? But typically the ones that we use now in America today, as it's evolved, is Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And so those are the three major players, and all of their algorithms are a little bit different, but they're all very similar. So that's why you will see different scores on each one, even though you have the same credit on each one.
Oh, okay.
One might score your new credit at 10%, where another one scores it at 11%. So there's just little tweaks because nobody's giving away their recipe, right? So people are just trying to get as close as they can. So it's also why some people will say, well, why do I have them reporting at TransUnion but not at the other two? Well, the banks get to decide if they want to subscribe or not. They're not required to subscribe. So you might find in small towns, many banks can't afford to do all three. So they'll just report to one, or they may not report to any. I know of a couple in Lacine and Mound City, Garnett. There's banks that don't report to any bureaus, and that's simply because it's expensive. So there's nothing you can do about that except ask ahead of time before you get a loan, especially at a smaller bank, to ask if they report to the bureaus, and make sure that they report to all three bureaus if you're wanting credit for that. Otherwise, I've had a lot of people buy a car, for instance, and find out that the dealership they bought from doesn't report to the bureaus. So that's unfortunate. You've got all that payment history that isn't reporting to anyone. So it's important to ask those questions. But that's kind of how it got started. Somebody just had a good idea, said I could sell this product to lenders, and lenders said, yeah, we want a part of that. And then as it grew, it just became a money magnet for the people that own it, right? And so they buy, sell, and trade information. And in today's world, I don't think they really care if it's accurate information. They just, if they can make money on it. So unfortunately, that's what it's evolved to.
Wow. I learned a lot just by that one question. That's so good. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. So a few other questions. This is probably your most common question, but what is the best way? Let's say you've got someone in college, they have no credit and they need to start building credit. What is the best way to build credit?
Yeah, I've had 3 kids of my own that I've helped with this, and I have a 4th that is 17 and getting ready to go to college for the first time in the fall. So we've already been talking. So the very best thing that you can do is, as a parent, add that college student to your credit card as an authorized user. They don't have to have a copy of your card. You don't have to worry that they're going to run up your bill. They don't ever have to use the card. But just by putting them on it, and you can put them on it before they're 18, it just can't legally report to their bureau until they're 18. So, I could do it this year, their senior year, get that done. And then when they turn 18, it will start reporting automatically. So then your balance and your payment history and stuff will show up on their credit report on that particular card. They won't see everything you have, but they'll see that particular card. So that is a great way. Okay. Getting on co-signing for your loan, if you have a car, to refi it and get it in your name on it. We're going to do that with my daughter. The car right now is in the parent's name, and we're going to refi it when she turns 18 in February and put her name on it so that she can get credit for that. She is the one making the payments after all. So we want to give
Yes.
her credit. So those are a couple of things. And
Okay.
then with an 18-year-old, I would also advise after doing those that they sign up for Fingerhut. Fingerhut is a website, and it's just fingerhut.com. So FINGERHUT.com. And that's just, it's online shopping similar to Walmart. It's just a department store. But you do have to pay shipping. But I tell people to remember that you're paying to build your credit score. So they report to all three bureaus. You simply buy your first item to activate the account. They approve almost anyone. They know that they are a credit building tool. They're very aware of that.
Okay.
And they don't mind. They give you a really low credit limit to start out, like $150 or something. You only want to use $45 or less of that to keep it at that 30% mark. And then just buy something once every 4 or 5 months, keep that account active so it can start building that length of time that you've had credit.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. Okay. Okay. Awesome. What about credit cards? Are there any good credit cards for students, or should we stay away from those?
I strongly recommend staying away from those. They are on college campuses and they will offer cards, but unfortunately our teenagers get inundated with that, and then it's like free money. So many have not been taught how to utilize those. It can be really dangerous, and they can get into bad. I get calls every day from adults that go, well, I was young and dumb, because they made these mistakes. So if the person doesn't have the training of how to use a credit card, I wouldn't recommend getting one. I would say using that authorized credit card, if you wanted to then give them a copy of the card and make sure that they can manage that under the guidelines that you have set for them, then that would help them to learn how to manage that, especially if they had to pay the bill. Like, I'm going to give you this and put your name on it, and you have to, make the payment and stuff. But then the parents getting the bill to where they can make sure it's not ever being paid late, and that they're learning. Even doing that when they're still in high school is a great way to teach them how to manage that credit. And without any credit, it's really hard to get a credit card. And a lot of times they want a down payment, and that money, it's called a secured credit card. It's really hard to ever get your money back. So if you can avoid doing that, I always think that's best. Now, some people can't avoid it because they don't have anybody that can put them on as an authorized user. Either their parents have bad credit already, or they don't have parents willing to do that. And in which case I tell them to do the Fingerhut and then to go ahead and do the secured credit card. But it is, you have to know you have to put $200 into it, and you probably won't ever get it back. So,
Okay.
but it will build your credit.
Okay. How about, so now you've built your credit, what are some ways that you can actually pull down your credit? What are the things that are going to hurt you?
Okay, so after you've started your credit and it's going well, things that hurt are new inquiries. So if you go apply for a motorcycle and you apply for a credit card, and then you just want to see if you might be approved for a home loan, though pulling all of those within a 3-month period is too many inquiries, and that's going to drop your score. On the contrary, though, if you just are trying to buy that motorcycle and you go to 4 different lenders and they're all about the motorcycle, it's only going to hit you one time. So they're pulling it, and you're going to see that it was pulled on your credit report. You're going to see all the different inquiries, but it only dings your score the one time if it's for the same product. So if you're car shopping or house shopping or credit card, if credit card, it gets kind of iffy, because if it's all Capital One or Discover, or you might get dinged. But that's typically one of the things that will bring your score down. And then opening new credit will actually drop your score before it helps it. So it's going to take about 4 months for that new piece of credit to help your score. And the reason is you've got the credit inquiry, so that's one ding. And then because it's a new account, it has no credit history. There's no length of credit at all. So that's going to hurt your score until you can start getting those payments under your belt and let it start showing that, oh, I've got this credit and I'm using it responsibly and I'm paying the bill then it will start helping you. So it's going to ding you before it helps you. So somebody like you or I that maybe have had credit for a long time, go and get a new loan, you might see your credit score drop because you've got a new thing that hasn't reported. Make sense?
Yeah, that's good. Okay, one more question. How can I check my credit score? And you obviously just told us by checking it or checking up on it, it can help or it can harm you. But if I wanted to know what my credit score, what would I do?
Well, there's a few things you can do. So you can get your credit report for free once a year at annualcreditreport.com. And that's something that the government has said you get one free report annually. You don't get your scores with that unless you pay for them. You just get the report. I don't recommend paying for your scores. So if you have a credit card, typically they have a tool like Capital One has CreditWise. And I think Discover has something. They all have something that you can get for free with your card. So you can check it that way. Those are pretty accurate. I don't recommend Credit Karma. That's not a very accurate site. And you have to remember that it's free. At least with your credit card, you're paying interest. You're paying them some money. When you have anything that's a free site, you're the commodity. So they're making money on you. So it's not real reliable. And a lot of people will call me and tell me, well, my Credit Karma says I have this score. And then I pull it and it's 100 points different. And it's because their algorithm is different. Everybody has their own algorithm. So it's right according to them, but their algorithm is much different than what lenders are going to use. So I don't recommend that one. I strongly recommend using one of those that's attached to the credit card. If you don't have a credit card and you want to see, you can pay annualcreditreport.com to get a score. But the reason I don't recommend it is because your score is changing every day. I tell people to imagine that it's like a camera. So if you take a picture today of what you look like today, and then you go to bed tonight and sleep and get up in the morning and take a picture again, you're probably not going to look like you do right now. You're the same person and you haven't changed all that much, but it's going to look different. Or if you cut your hair, camera isn't going to remember that you had long hair yesterday. So that's what your credit score does. It's not a number out in the universe that, the lender says, oh, here's their number. They put in the information and then it creates the number based off that moment in time. So based off how old that account is at that moment, based off what's owed at that moment, all those different little things. And so your credit score is constantly going to be different. Every day it's going to be different just because your account's a day older, or you've made a payment, or you've charged something, or whatever. So it's always moving. So we really focus on the body of the report. What's on the report? You need to have two kinds of credit, right? Revolving and installment. You need to have at least 4 pieces of credit. That's ideal. So 2 installment, 2 revolving. You need to have some length of time. You need to have no late payments. So if you just look at the report and you see that everything's on there, then you should feel comfortable that your score's okay.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
There are some other tools if they wanted to go to Credit Armor at freecredithub.com. That's our website, and they can get a report for $1 that will tell them their score. So that's an option if they really, really want their score. But just remember that it's a constantly moving target.
Right. Okay. Well, awesome. So now that we've learned all these great things, I want to hear about you. Tell our audience where you're from, what you do, your company. Can they call you, or how do they get a hold of you? Which I can also put all this information below on our YouTube video, but tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, that always reminds me of the Steve Martin movie and so I always want to start out with a joke, and that's really bad and I shouldn't do it. So I apologize.
We can handle it. We'll take it.
I was born in Topeka, but moved to Lawrence when I was a year old. And so I'm a big Jayhawk fan.
Yay!
And yeah, Lawrence, Kansas, go KU. So my daughter is going to be a Wildcat though, so don't hate me for being a Jayhawk.
That's okay. They're good too.
They are. So we work in 48 of the 50 states. We only cannot work in Georgia and South Carolina due to how their state laws are written, but otherwise we work in all 48 of the other states. What we do is try to delete negative items, and we do that by using the law. So there are laws on the books about how credit can be reported. So we're looking not for did you actually incur that debt, but are they reporting it according to how the law says they can? If they're not coding it correctly, dating it correctly, if the amounts aren't correct, all these little things, then they have to remove it or they have to pay you $1,000. So what we're doing is I know. So what we do is look at that and say, let's see if we can get these removed. So we charge $30 to remove late payments, $65 to remove collections and charge-offs, and $120 to remove bankruptcy and foreclosure. So we only charge if we're successful, which makes us a little different. We're also a law firm and not a credit repair company. So that makes us a little different in that we can actually litigate. And our attorneys will take those phone calls. If you're getting collection calls, you tell them you're represented by Credit Law Center, and then they're required to call us. So that's no extra charge. The attorneys will talk to them and you quit getting calls. So that's in a nutshell what we do.
Okay. So if just anybody out in any of those 48 states, would they just contact you directly and you could work as their credit advisor?
Yeah, so if they called the 800 number, they would have to ask for Jennifer, or if they go online to our website, they would need to put that they want to talk to Jennifer.
Okay.
Otherwise, call me directly, and I can give you my direct line. I actually never use my office number, so I'm just going to give you my cell phone. I was seeing actually if it was on this paper because I don't ever use it, but I just use my cell phone because with COVID, we're working at home. So they can call me at 913-755-8616 or text me. I'm really good with that too. Or they can email me at jenniferf@creditlawcenter.com. And that's F as in Ferguson. So Jennifer F.
Okay. And I'll be sure on this video too and put all that information below. But wow,
sure.
I actually just learned quite a bit. So I really appreciate you taking the time to just talk to us about it. And hopefully, you know, I get people that are working on their credit. They want to purchase a home. So I hope now they're aware of your resource and you guys will give her a call and then we can get out and find you a good home.
So too. That's the goal of most of the people I work with, that most of them are trying to buy a house. Once in a while, they're trying to buy a car or something like that. But usually they're trying to buy a house and their lender has sent them over to get, or their realtor, either one, to get their credit repaired and get it up. So whether, you know, if somebody just needs 5 or 10 points, we're not going to sign them up. I'm going to tell them what they can do to get those 5 or 10 points on their own. And if they're got really just wretched credit, we're going to tell them they need a bankruptcy. We're not going to take it if it's not in their best interest. So we're just going to do a consultation for $1 to get that credit report and look at it, audit it, talk about it, and then tell them what's best for them.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And hopefully, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or to Jennifer, but we will continue on this channel to try to provide you education to help you guys out. And I hope everyone is doing well and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Bye. Thanks for having me.